Money. They say money trees is the perfect place for shade. They say money makes the world go round. They say it must be funny living in a rich man's world. But how exactly do you earn money? Well, today we're going to find out using the most advanced life simulation software on the market, The Sims 4. We're going to genetically engineer a sim to be the perfect money-making machine. There he is. Hello. We're going to drop this man into the making money scenario and see how fast he can make 1 million simoleons. Now, I did try this idea a couple years ago, but not properly. So, we're trying again. And this time we're going to do it properly. But what does the making money scenario actually do? Well, as soon as you start live mode, once you've bought your house, it takes away all of your money so that you start at 0. And then from there, it gives you the goal, 1 million simoleons. As simple as that. First things first, let's talk about our sim. Nominative determinism suggests that his name is Rich Money. He is a creative, genius, and a loner. Just like me, except he's also creative and a genius. As you can see, Rich is prepared for any scenario. His ambition? Get that bread. Basically, we've created Mr. Krabs in real life. The first thing we're going to do is get him the biggest house that you can buy with the 20,000 simoleon starting point. Now, I should probably clarify that I only have these DLCs installed because unlike Rich Money in a few months, I actually don't have very much money IRL. If you want me to buy the rest of the DLCs and try this challenge again with all the DLCs, subscribe to the channel to support me. Like every single video, share them all with your friends and family, even if it means damaging your relationship with them permanently. And, finally, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, where you can also DM me for my bank details, so you can wire me money directly. Thank you. We buy Rich the only 2-bedroom house available, so that we can sell all the furniture in the 2nd bedroom as soon as we start. And here we are. We do some pretty radical interior design to whittle this house down to the absolute bare essentials that a human being needs to survive, which gets us about £2,500-ish, and from there we can put into action our plan. But what is the plan? The plan is split pretty evenly into 3 phases. The first phase is very simple. Acquire passive income. Once passive income has been acquired, improve our sim using satisfaction traits. Then, phase 3, get a job. Pretty simple. Using our incredible 2,104 simoleon starting point, we purchase the Mixmaster music station, which will make us some passive income. The first thing we do is create the absolutely enormous tune. Monk. After a fairly short while, I make some realizations about the Mixmaster music station which make me start regretting spending 1,500 of my 2,100 simoleons on it straight away. Firstly of all, you can only actually upload 1 song every day, which means there's the rest of the day where Rich isn't making more money. Second, it turns out that unlike most other skills, the highest level for media production is 5. So actually, Rich maxes out this skill very quickly. However, not soon afterwards, we get our first royalty payments. I used this to buy a guitar, which I thought was a mistake a little later on, and then it turned out actually to not be so much of a mistake, and a computer from the year 1992. So now I have 3 different ways of making money, and they're all fairly different and interesting, and one of them is massively superior to the other 2, and I shall tell you why. The Mixmaster music station is good because straight away you can make music and release it as with a 0 skill level, which means that as soon as you buy it, you're off to earning money. The computer, meanwhile, is not bad, because you can self-publish your writing from level 2 of the writing skill, sell it to a publisher from level 5, and then to a literary digest from level 9. There's a clear progression there, more money from each level. The guitar, however, is not good. In order to just write a song in the first place, you need to be level 8, and then you need to be level 9 to license your songs. And even then, you can only license a song once a week, which honestly makes the Mixmaster Music Station practically a sweatshop of productivity by comparison. Needless to say, choosing the guitar as a musical money-making method was a massive mistake. Anyway, Rich soon finishes his very first children's book, A Mongoose, the release of which suddenly makes him become a one-star celebrity. This revealed a hole in my plan. I hadn't considered fame in the slightest, which was maybe a mistake because I was releasing music on SoundCloud and Wattpad fanfiction on the internet. Inevitably, massive fame was going to follow. We started this challenge on the first day of spring, and on the first day of summer, things are looking pretty good. We have 75 aspiration points from completing the first level of the wealth aspiration tree, and we have 10,000 simoleons. 1% of our goal. Rich continues this cycle of making music on the Mixmaster Music Station, practicing his guitar, and occasionally writing books. For quite a while, he absolutely steamrollers the second level of the wealth aspiration, and by the time fall comes, or autumn, because I don't know if you could tell, I'm a little bit British, Rich is sitting on an impressive stockpile of 55,000 simoleons. Not too bad, all things considered. After releasing The Beatles, an absolute banger of a tune, Rich has become a 2-star celebrity. After accepting some food from an understandably sad Deliveroo driver, we get the fan mail perk and continue the cycle. At this point, we're earning about 8,000 simoleons in passive income every single day. As it turns out, this is pretty close to the maximum I would earn in simoleons every single day, which means that, for me, it was time to move to the second phase of the plan. Upgrading Rich using aspiration points. Every time you complete a level of your aspiration tree, or even complete these little whims in the left hand corner, you get satisfaction points. These satisfaction points let you buy special things for your sim and make him better, or just clean, I guess. To help me grind out some more aspiration points, I switch over to the musical genius path, which I realise as well that I could have done right at the beginning because progress is saved when you switch aspiration path, something I now know and should have done at the beginning. The first 2 levels of this are absolutely demolished because Rich is already a musical genius. Now we have 5,500 points in our pocket, so I decide to go shopping. There are several perks that we need to make phase 2 actually worth it. The ones that I really had my eye on were entrepreneurial and connections for the career. Connections make you start each career at a higher level, and entrepreneurial means you're more likely to get promoted. I also wanted to get frugal, which just reduces the amount of bills you have to pay. Less money out equals more money for me at the end of the day. Good. And the last one was marketable, which just means that everything Rich makes sells for more money, which is hugely useful. There are lots of other perks that I simply missed and it turns out are much better for making more money, but those are the ones I really had earmarked from the start. In my little shopping trip, I decided to get the 2 career-focused perks, connections and entrepreneurial, and then, for some reason, jump straight to phase 3 of the plan, which is make Rich an astronaut. This was another mistake, as Rich is earning 78 simoleons per hour and is only working 8 hours a day, which means he's bringing in an absolutely pathetic 624 simoleons every day. On top of this, he's only working this job 4 days a week, so this isn't a huge increase in my income compared to the 8,000 simoleons I was earning in royalties every single day. Even worse, because I skipped a few levels in getting Rich up to this point, the promotion requirements are not even close to being fulfilled, which means we have to buy some new equipment to train him up to be a better astronaut. Looking back, I think it's fair to say I jumped the gun on making him an astronaut. We buy the gym equipment, skip out on Harvest Fest, which makes Rich sad, and then continue the cycle. Now with added chess boxing. Thankfully it only takes Rich a few days to get promoted, which is a good sign that entrepreneurial is doing its work. On the first day of winter, Rich successfully breaks through the 100k simoleon barrier, completes his first song on the guitar, can't license it because you need to be level 9, and then I discover another mechanic that I can abuse to increase revenue. Lot traits. I decide to make my residence inhabited by money-giving pixies and provide bonuses to creative and scientific activities. In particular, this increases the quality of crafted items, like, books and songs. Good. Then, Winterfest arrives, and this time I decide to participate because, why not? I'm feeling pretty good. Rich is, as you would expect, rich, so I splash out a little bit on decorating, spread some Winterfest cheer. Rich ends up pretty happy with this affair, and then I realise that completing holidays earns you additional aspiration points, which would have been really good to know at the start of the challenge before I skipped a bunch of holidays. The new year arrives. After 1 year in-game, Rich has accrued nearly 150,000 simoleons. Unfortunately, due to his job, his passive income has slipped down to a mere 5.5k per day, which isn't ideal. Rich becomes a B-tier celebrity. At this point, I decide to actually read ahead at the other perks in the tree and see which ones would be better, instead of just immediately taking the first one I see like a monkey. I noticed that the established name perk would be useful for increasing passive income. So I book Rich a nice cheeky celebrity cleanse to get the points necessary to buy it. A couple days later, Rich gets promoted again, edging ever closer to the highest rank of astronaut. At this point, I decide to again look even further ahead in the celebrity tree, and I notice the Easy Street perk, which has the words doubles his paycheck in it. Out of sheer dumb luck, I chose the right path to eventually get this perk, and at this point I decide to go off plan slightly, or at the very least add a fourth additional step to the plan. Make Rich a global superstar to unlock the most OP double paycheck perk in the game. Realising that making Rich famous was more important than I initially anticipated, I make Rich leave the house for the first time in over a year and perform the guitar in public to boost my fame. Thankfully, nobody thought I was a really annoying guy and actually gave me some money for playing in public. Awesome. It was at this point that I realised the guitar, while pretty useless at making money in the early game, is actually a pretty good way of increasing your fame fairly quickly. When I came home, I realised that the scenario had vanished. I entered build mode and the game just broke. After rebooting the game a couple times, it simply continued running like a pile of hot garbage. Eventually, I determined the cause of the problem to be the treadmill. Whenever Rich ran on the treadmill, the game's FPS slowed to about 0.2. So I sold it, and the game's performance immediately improved massively. Also, while I was playing around fixing this and not exactly recording everything, Rich completed the wealth milestones, giving him Shrewd. Shrewd is one of the best traits in the game. Every single week the game is now going to give me 5% of my total finances straight to the household funds. If I have 100k simoleons, this is 5k for nothing. This is perhaps the most passive that passive income can get. Then came another holiday. The lottery. I'll be honest, like most things in this game, I didn't know this was going to happen, but if I had, I probably would have banned myself from participating in it. When this came up, I wasn't aware that the jackpot was 1 million simoleons, so I entered it for funsies. Thankfully, both times I entered the lottery during this run, I failed to win, otherwise this video would be considerably shorter than it actually is. On Friday, Rich completed the second level of the writer aspiration and starts work on some more huge bestsellers. However, before he can, Tony Flowers, a random woman who wandered into my house a couple years ago and is now my best friend, invited him to a talent showcase, which is a pretty good opportunity to grind up some more fame. I headed to the bar, hogged the guitar and the spotlight for the entire time, made a little bit of money in tips and boosted our fame. Now, we're actually not too far away from being a proper celebrity. Rich decided to celebrate by buying a new bed, we got our first payment from the Shrewd perk, and published a book, which actually pushed him over into the proper celebrity range. Now we're just one level away from doubling our paycheck altogether. Speaking of paychecks, next up it was time for Rich to choose a career path. He opted for Space Ranger, as this pays more at the highest level, even though it pays slightly less at this level, but that's fine. Unfortunately, we had to develop our rocket science skill to actually progress, and this house sadly had no space for an actual rocket ship. So I had to move the entire house several meters to the left just to put a rocket in the garden. Worth it, in my opinion. Just building the rocket itself actually gets us to rocket science level 5, which puts Rich fairly ahead of the curve. Harvest Fest arrives again, and this time we actually complete it without having to cook a massive dinner, which is good. And once that's done, Rich goes on his very first space adventure, which actually yields nothing. Thanks, space. Very cool. Things, after this, go pretty smooth for a little while. The only major thing of note was that Rich developed the fine palate quirk, which is totally fine because he's actually a fairly competent chef. We hit 300k and we continue the cycle of writing and publishing books, going to space to boost our rocket science skill, heading off to work, and sometimes boosting our fame with talent showcases and the like. At the beginning of winter, Rich completes a writing milestone, and we use the resulting points to buy something I should have had from the very beginning of the challenge. A money tree. Money trees literally grow money. As passive income comes, this is pretty damn passive. All you have to do is harvest it whenever it flowers, and each harvest gets you like 8,000 simoleons. Unfortunately, when I bought it, it was too cold to plant it. So, great. On the Tuesday of winter, because in Sims World each month is a week and is also a season, Rich published Harold Potassium, the popularity of which was so huge it launched Rich immediately to global superstardom. Rich was now the highest level of celebrity and as a result had doubled his paycheck, which meant that now he was earning something like 400 simoleons an hour, almost as much as he was earning every single day back when he began. He also got this tile, which he can look at and make himself feel good. Well done, Rich. You deserve it. As if things couldn't get any better, at this point we were now earning about 10,000 simoleons every day from royalties. At this point I also switched over to the celebrity aspiration path, which I could have done earlier, and I spent the remainder of winter desperately trying to get people to take selfies with me and trying to get 25 positive responses from inciting cheers. This took a very long time and was really annoying. During this time I bought the Savant perk and booked another celebrity cleanse so I could unlock the lifestyle brand perk, which I figured might get me some more income, and also make me more like an actual internet celebrity. Spring arrives and we hit 400,000 simoleons. Because of the new weather, Rich decided to plant his money tree seed and wait patiently for it to grow. It took until summer for the money tree to grow, but by this point it still wasn't ready for harvesting. Rich sprayed it for bugs a few times and weeded it, desperately resisting the game's desire to sabotage him by trying to make him dislike gardening, and then we harvested, getting 8,000 simoleons on our first harvest. Fairly frequently, we were now harvesting the fruit for 8,000 simoleons per harvest. Thankfully, my lifestyle brand at this point was also earning me an astonishing 100 simoleons per day. Thank you, lifestyle brand. Very cool. Now at this point, we were over halfway there, and our money making had accelerated hugely. The end was in sight. Thankfully, I managed to sabotage myself by cutting the money tree up a few times and basically ruining it. Rich was now fully invested in gardening, his entire focus dedicated to a tree that grows money faster than he could earn it at his job. The royalties started to fall away a bit, but we hit 600,000 before the end of summer. Again, I tried to splice the money tree with itself, which set it back to beginning, but things were still doing pretty well. Eventually, we got our way to the top of the fame aspiration and unlocked unstoppable fame, which meant that his fame never decayed on its own. However, despite this enormous success, we didn't actually have 1 million simoleons. We had some more work to do. We went back to the writing aspiration and started grinding out books to try and create 3 masterpieces. By the time autumn came around, we had very nearly 700,000 simoleons. The end was near. Rich got bored with writing books and did a few levels of the fitness aspiration instead. We breezed past 700,000 just as Rich was becoming literally the fittest human being on the planet. As he achieved his maximum body potential, we also got the achievement Most Interesting Sim in the World. Cool. We used the resulting aspiration points to buy another money tree. We completed Harvest Fest again for more aspiration points, switched back to the writing aspiration, and actually completed it fairly quickly. At this point, I had actually run out of viable aspiration paths. There was nothing really left for me to pick, so I chose cooking, because he had fine palate, I guess? Because we'd written so many good books, we were back up to around 9,000 royalty buckaroos per day, which brought us very close to 800,000 simoleons. It was at this point that I realised the end was in sight. On the first day of winter, Shrewd dumped us with a huge 40,000 simoleons in one go. We also earned 8,500 in royalties, and sold the slightly reduced money tree fruit for another 6.4 thousand. This totals up to around 55,000 simoleons in one day, almost certainly the most I made in any single day so far. It didn't take too long from there for the second money tree to grow, and with it, Rich Money's income. With the threshold of 900,000 simoleons came the news that Rich had earned a raise. At this point, the momentum of his money was simply unstoppable. It was surely only a matter of days until we hit the 1 million simoleon mark. The first omen arrived on the Thursday of winter. Rosebud, an achievement that told us that Rich Money had earned a total of 1 million simoleons over his lifetime. We had spent, or should I say invested, just over 40,000 simoleons in total, which is more money than I actually ever managed to earn when I did this challenge last time. The end was in sight. The first money tree evolved, which meant that it would yield more money per harvest. It didn't really matter at this point because even a fairly mediocre harvest would actually push us over the edge. Then, on a snowy Saturday morning, I sold the final harvest of money fruit, and wow. Amazing. We completed the scenario in just 84 in-game days, which is pretty much almost exactly 3 in-game years. This is okay, to be honest. It took me about 10 hours of real-time gameplay, which, to be honest, is pretty good. I thought it would take me about twice as long, but to be honest, I underestimated just how fast money accelerates in the late game. That being said, I think I can go faster. There are quite a few things that I would change if I had to do this again. I'd probably immediately discount the Mixmaster music station. It's kind of useful making a quick buck at the beginning to save up for the computer, but I figure I might as well just use the money I get from selling the furniture in buying a computer to start with. Secondly, I wouldn't discount the guitar straight away. I think actually it's a pretty good way of boosting your fame in public, so I wouldn't get rid of it. However, I definitely would use my aspiration points to buy as many money trees as possible and hope they evolve as fast as possible so that I can be earning as much money as possible early on. I would also pay more attention to fame and try and get that up much faster. So who knows? Maybe one day Rich Money will return, or a relative of his, or something. I don't really know. To be perfectly honest, I'm kinda sick of The Sims right now. I haven't even played it for like a month, but I'm still kinda fed up of it. So I'm gonna go play some Minecraft. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.